Hi, welcome. I'm Julie from Julie's Carnivore Quest, here to talk a little bit today, give my report out for the first 10 days I've been carnivore at this point, and to talk about why carnivore works for me and why I'm loving it. Uh, I have been, if you've seen my couple of my previous little videos, I have done carnivore in the past, back in 2022, and had great success with it for about 4 months. And then I fell off track because, hello, carb addicted. And carb addiction is a real thing. And trying to stop that or resolve that has been a challenge. But I'm here to report out. Let me give a little bit of a report out first about how my little progress has been. And then I want to talk about why carnivore kind of is my jam, why it really is working for me right now, and what I'm loving about it, as opposed to the times that I ate mostly vegetables, mostly plants, whole foods, plant-based. I mean, I've tried all the different things, and I would just want to share why this seems to work for me at this point when other things have let me down. I've been promised a lot of things and it hasn't worked. So I want to share a little bit about that. Please leave a comment or a question for me, or just introduce yourself. Give me a thumbs up or a subscribe, or just to say hello. I would love to get to know you, and I just appreciate all the little hands up, support, thumbs up, whatever it is that whatever that is, just gives me encouragement, because I want to reach other women who are postmenopausal, who have struggled with nutrition and health and want to see improvements, because all of my research with this way of eating has revealed that you'll get significant health improvements fairly quickly. And it's not all just about weight loss. It's about so many more things than that, because like I'm 60 years old and I would like to live another 40 years. And if I lived 40 more years feeling the way I felt 11 days ago, it wouldn't have been so fun. So I think, we want to live a long time, but we want to be healthy while we live a long time, and not just be living and unable to really fully participate in life the way we want to. So day 11 is today, and I am ready for breakfast. I'm hungry this morning. I had one meal yesterday. Uh, that wasn't planned to be that way. Uh, so yesterday morning I met with some friends and we walked a few miles, about 4 miles, which was my longest walk so far this year. There was a time that we would walk 6, 8, 10 miles on a Saturday morning. And 4 miles yesterday was a lot for me. And I'm happy that I was able to do it and be outside and be with friends and all that. So that was great. But I didn't want to eat before I went to walk yesterday morning. I don't want to go after I've had a meal or anything. Some some fitness people will say you must eat before you work out or whatever. And I'm like, no, you don't really have to. Like I have plenty of I have plenty of energy stored on my body in the form of fat that my body can use. I don't need to eat a bunch of carbs so I can just burn them off. That's silly. I have plenty of fuel right here that I could use, right? Um, Plus, you just don't feel good if you have like a full stomach, or like no, thank you. So, anyway, my weight from the beginning of May until now, so I have a 4 pounds of weight loss so far, which doesn't mean all that much to me, other than potentially it's inflammation beginning to come down a little bit, which would be great. I always notice inflammation first in my fingers. If my wedding ring is kind of snug, it's uncomfortable to wear. And so that is the first place I notice inflammation. Like I don't get swollen ankles Maybe occasionally I have, but not regularly. I don't have swollen ankles or anything like that, but I do notice it right away in my fingers. My joint pain is still there. Now, back in 2022, when I did carnivore, my joint pain went away within 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to one of these days noticing that when I go to stand up from the couch, that I have no joint pain. That will be so good, so good. That's one of the things that they don't tell you about menopause is that a lot of women report joint pain in menopause, and I think it's just the byproduct of years and years of eating foods that cause inflammation in our bodies that we don't even realize because we just live with it every day. You don't even know how, things are, how your body's reacting to things if you're just consuming it all the time. So that's good. I mean, any little weight loss, if it's inflammation or water weight, I mean, still, I don't need it. So I'm happy to let that go. And we'll just see how it goes. I'm not all that concerned with the number on the scale. It really doesn't mean anything to me other than my relationship to gravity and the earth. Like it's a clue to something, but it's not the end all be all. Okay. And now it used to be for me. That was a long time for me to get into this point where I feel that way about it. But really, it's a meaningless thing. There's so many other markers of health that are so much more significant than that number. I just want to encourage you that way to say, okay, this is one tiny little piece of information, but in everything else, it doesn't really mean all that much. Now, here's a few reasons I want to talk about of why I think carnivore really is working for me or why it feels so easy to do. I have not had any of the sugar cravings, really, carb cravings. Now, the last couple of evenings, I sort of wanted to, but then I didn't want to come on here and have to say, oh, I had whatever. I wanted to be, be strong and push through that. One of the things I mentioned before, I believe, is that I notice when I have those cravings, it's really that I'm tired. It's really that I'm tired. I really need to sleep. I'm not a good sleeper yet. I woke up this morning at 3:30 and I couldn't go back to sleep. So here we are. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning and I feel like it's noon. Like I was at the store already this morning. I ran by the post office. Like I was out running errands already this morning. So anyway, so another thing about carnivore is that, well, here's what happened yesterday. So yesterday morning, like I started to say, I didn't want to eat before I went for the walk in the morning. And then after the walk, there was a book club meetup thing. And so I ran home, grabbed my books, went to that. Then after that, I came home, showered real quick, and then I wanted to go over to our fairgrounds, had a vendor event, and I wanted to pop over there and just see what was what, if there's anything I couldn't live without. And there wasn't like I could live without all those things, but I wanted to go and see it. And so by the time I got home and got my beef heated up, I had been 24 hours without food. I had been on a 24-hour accidental fast. Like I didn't plan that, but the interesting thing is that I didn't feel like I was starving. Like I was hungry. It had been 24 hours, but I wasn't starving. And that is something I never ever had happen when I was eating mostly plants and grains. I always was hungry. Even if I physically was full, I never felt like I had enough. It was plants and grains and sugar do not satisfy me. They do not, I get physically full, but but still there's that wanting of something more because it just didn't have the nutrition that my body really needed. Uh, so I had the 24-hour fast. It was fine. I had my meal in the afternoon and a couple of like cheese sticks later in the, just when I was a little later in the evening, like I think my meal was at 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And then I had a couple of cheese sticks about 6 o'clock just to nibble on them because I just felt like I wanted a little bit of something, but not much of something. So that was great. I mean, I feel like that's my body saying, okay, we're understanding that we don't have to eat 6 times a day. Like that whole fitness influencer thing of eating 6 times a day is ridiculous. It is dumb. We should not have to eat that many times a day. Our bodies don't need that. All throughout history, we were able to, like even back, remember when you were a kid, you ate 3 times a day. And maybe if you were lucky, your mom would let you have a snack. But what would she always say? Dinner's almost ready. Wait for dinner. Like our bodies don't need to be fueled that many times a day unless all you're doing is burning the glucose that you bring in. If all you're doing is eating carbs and burning it right off, eating carbs and burning it right off, then that's a problem. Like I was part of a program some years ago that sent me right into a food obsession eating disorder, almost like full blown. I mean, it was all about timed eating and that there were certain times of day that you should eat and plan it out, certain things at certain times a day. And one of those was eating before a workout, which I've already said I could not. It was gross. I couldn't do it. But the problem with that for me, now maybe a healthy person could do this. Maybe somebody who didn't have carb addiction issues could do this. I could not. Having to constantly have all those meals I had to have because I worked I worked during most of the day. I would have to take so much food with me to work because I had to eat at certain intervals. And it was exhausting and I was obsessed. I had to be obsessed about it and it just threw me into a tailspin. I couldn't stop thinking about food. I was like, what do I have? What is next? What is time is it? Am I going to be late? I got to do this on a schedule. It was awful. It was awful. I don't recommend anybody ever do that. Just, I'm learning now to eat when I am hungry and not worry about it because I know I'm not worried about not getting it. It'll be fine. I will have it. But that whole 5 or 6 times a day thing with your little chicken breast and your little broccoli and rice, that's ridiculous. Stop doing that. That's just dumb. So I really love with carnivore now that I don't have this like food noise in my head all the time. When is it? I need to get something to eat. Do I have anything? Is there stuff at home? Should I stop? Should I go to the gas station? Should I go to the drive up? Is there, like I used to have like that noise in my head all the time. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? I'm really hungry. I want nachos. I want tacos. I want pizza. I want chips. Like I used to live with that constant food noise in my head. And so far now, I have had very little food noise in my head. Even right now, when I'm ready for breakfast, I'm feeling a little bit hungry. I'm not, before I would just be wanting to run to the kitchen and take care of it. But now I'm like, it's all right. I can wait a few more minutes. It's fine. I'm not that compulsion and obsession and like noise about eat, 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 eat. What's next? What's next? What's next? So I'm really happy about that. Back when I was the picture on my banner, if you expand my banner to open up that whole picture, you will see two small pictures of me I put over in the corner. One of them is before when I was Whole Foods plant-based with a little bit of lean meat. And that was, let me snooze that alarm. Whoops. And that was in 2021. I don't take frequent pictures of myself like that. So that was 2021, summer of 2021. That was eating all the vegetables all the time. Truckloads of vegetables. My refrigerator used to be jam-packed full of vegetables. So that was that. With that second picture where I'm standing in a different room with a white background and I have on like a pinkish kind of shirt, pinkish, purpley kind of shirt. That was after 4 months on carnivore. So how I looked in that 2021 picture was basically I looked the same in 2022 when I did that, when I started carnivore that first time. And that was the difference in just 4 months of getting some of that inflammation down and getting some weight off me. It was astonishing. I am looking forward to that again, to having um, that kind of sort of response. The other thing that like I said before, I always felt I could feel full of eating a giant salad or a huge thing of vegetables, but I was never really satisfied. And the other thing I always noticed was a lot of like digestive issues. I never was diagnosed with like IBS or anything like that. And I don't know that I have quite all the hallmarks for that diagnosis, but I definitely had some issues. And I had to be very careful about going out to restaurants because sometimes things would be like, that wasn't good. You know, don't want to be like having a problem right here, trying to walk to my car or something. The only thing that all those vegetables and things did for me was got me more bloated, more inflamed, more achy, aching joints, aching back, all of that. So carnivore really seems to work for me because none of those things are issues at this point right now. I mean, I still have obviously a lot of progress to make. I'm still bloated, I'm still overweight, all those things, but I'm starting to notice that I'm not having the same level of things as before. And I know I mentioned in another video that back in the 90s when I did Atkins, I had really good results then. And I had always noticed, even before that, probably in the 90s, I had noticed that if I ate a meal that started with protein, if I had an omelet or something like that, I would feel better, more energetic through the entire day than if I had waffles or, whatever, donut. Donuts, please. If I had donut, I would eat like 6 donuts and then all day long I would be starving. I would just feel hungry all day long. There's no amount of donuts that's going to help me feel full. I would feel nauseous because of the sugar, but I would never be like, okay, now I'm fueled and ready for my day, right? That would never happen. So I've always loved meat and eggs and cheese and always thought, bacon cheeseburgers, a big old steak, sign me up. Little did I know that was really my biggest clue as to the way to eat that is best for me. I really think all of us need to find an experiment and be willing to experiment about what is best for our body, our physiology. I think some people do okay as vegan or vegetarian, although most of them have a tendency to drop that after a few years. There's a lot of that in the health community. If you look, a lot of people say, well, I used to be vegan or I used to be vegetarian, but after X number of years, I had to go back to meat. But I mean, I think that's why it works for me is that I have experimented enough and been open-minded enough to just test things out. And I want that for you too. I want you to feel like you don't have to just listen to what all these other people are saying. You have to tap into yourself, like start doing some experiments just to see. You don't have to be carnivore for the rest of your life, but try it for 7 days and just see how you feel. See what you notice. And then follow the clues. When you really just like follow the clues, all that time I just ignored all the clues. Like, how silly was I? I was just thinking that what works for those people should work for me, but they were thin and fit and healthy, and maybe I had gut issues, I'm sure I do, that I didn't know about. So what works for them obviously is not going to always work for me because my body had different things to deal with, right? So anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. I hope that you will be encouraged to experiment. If you have any questions about what I'm doing or any other topics that I kind of touched on that you want me to discuss, like I'm happy to talk more about all the things, especially like food addiction and how you know if you're food addicted and carb addicted or whatever, and ways that you can start to look at that. Have, uh, I do want to talk more about emotional eating and why I think we have been taught to be emotional eaters. And I also want to talk more about what I mentioned the other day, as far as like that whole not listening to our body's signals about hunger and being full. And anyway, so today starts day 11, low carb. I'm not zero carb. I have a couple supplements that I use for like just to support myself nutritionally. And a couple of those have like 3 carbs in them. So it's really minimal. I used to eat basically all carbs, or I could if I left, you know, if I just ate what I wanted. Like, that's why I have a problem with intuitive eating, because my intuition back then was telling me to eat cookies and chips. Like like I can't get on board all the way with that right now, but I understand what they mean by it, but my signals were so messed up that I couldn't. The sun is really coming in. Woo. Um, but so I have probably under 15, maybe even under 10 carbs a day. So that's really, really minimal compared to most people have 200 or 300 carbs a day. And that's far too much, especially if you have weight issues, if you have gut issues, if you have mood that's not stable and you go up and down, that might be related to the carbs and the insulin and all that. So you may want to just do an experiment to reduce your carbs for a few days and just see how your body responds to that. I don't know. Again, we all have to try things for ourselves and see what really seems to fit us the best. Right now, this is working for me, and it fits me the best of everything else I've ever tried. And I want to encourage you to keep experimenting. Definitely leave me a comment or a question, or just like keep going or whatever. And I will hopefully be talking with you again soon.